why not this? What's up guys, Dan here, Coalcracker, Bushcraft. Had to go find my tent peg. I threw it in the woods. Now, why not plastic tent pegs? Well, I'm not anti-plastic tent pegs. Actually, I do carry plastic tent pegs when I carry my T60 emergency shelter because it just teams up well. We're looking for speed and efficiency when setting up an emergency shelter. But when it comes to all my other shelter setups, generally it's not any plastic tent pegs. Once in a while, the bigger black ABS pegs, but generally they're all wooden handmade pegs. But that raises the question, why? Well, because we're bushcrafters and it's fun and you can really make yourself a nice kit, and if you lose a tent peg or break a tent peg, you just simply make another one, so it's not the end of the world. So even if you are hung on the metal or plastic tent pegs, knowing how to make a quick, easy tent peg in the field is definitely a worthwhile thing. Now listen, the easiest tent peg in the field is literally just to pick up a stick and jam it into the loop on your tarp. Just jam this down in the ground and we'll give you a tent peg. Now the downfall with this though is if you have a loop tied around here and the wind's hitting your tarp in the wrong direction, it can slide up here, making your tarp loose and not working too well. Now some people might say, well, when I put the tent peg in, what if the loop comes off? Well, just don't have a little stick like this. Have a big long stick jammed in the back, and the tent loop is not going to work its way all the way up here and off. But this is sort of like, this is like being a woodsman hillbilly kind of guy, so we don't want to do that. We want to make our own tent pegs. Now you can do this with green wood, or you can do this with dead wood if you find nice dead wood. You just want to make sure that it's not rotted, that it's going to crack and fall apart. So because we're on my property, I can cut green wood, okay, and here we have a Y branch, here we have a Y branch, all different Y branches. Now this is just one style of tent peg that we teach at our classes. There are other styles which we can go over in other videos, but for this we're going to just keep it very simple. So what you're going to need is you're going to need to find yourself a Y branch. Now here's the thing, Y branches are not all created equal, but for making a quick down and dirty tent peg, we're going to just pretend that they are. Now why I say they're not created equal is because you look at this Y right here, okay? We have the main shoot and then we have an offshoot, okay? So that's a Y, and then we also have this Y here where the main shoot comes up and literally splits. So depending on what you're going to be using it for, this style Y is generally weaker because right in this Y junction, the grain splits and changes. So it's very easy if I pull on this to snap this down the middle. On the other hand, this style right here, this part of the Y is generally a little bit stronger, okay? So although the grain splits, it doesn't split in two directions. It keeps going this way and then it also goes out that way. So this Y is generally a little bit stronger. But for what we're going to be doing and making just simple down and dirty tent pegs, we're going to use this one because this one we're going to be using in a video very shortly. So multifunctional here, okay? So here's what we're going to be doing. You see the tree? Here's the bottom, grows upward, okay? So to make this tent peg is very quick and easy, and then you can dress it up as much as you want. You're gonna think of the tree, if it's still up, you're gonna think of it hanging upside down like this. Here's our Y. You're gonna cut about a ½ inch to an inch above that Y junction. So I'm just gonna take my knife here, and I'm gonna cut that free. Now we will clean all of this up here in a little bit, okay? So now we have these two parts of the Y. So whichever one is straighter and longer, we're gonna keep long. So I like to keep these 8 to 10 inches in length. So I'm gonna cut that one about there, knocking off any small little branches that might get in the way. So we have it looking like this, one long one, and that means this side right here is going to be shorter. So about 1.5 inches on this side. We're going to cut that one free. And look at that, folks. Look at that. We made a tent peg just that quick and easy on video. Now time to clean it up if you want to. So to clean up a tent peg like this, okay, the top, what we want to do is round it off. So we want to make it domed shape. We don't want to make it a flat cut across. And I'm going to tell you why that is here in 1 second. Because if we make that nice and flat, think of a square shape like this. As I pound on the top, the sides of the wood, those two sides coming up, they have no support on the outside. So generally what happens as you hit that on the top with the back of your axe or a stone, that wood starts to smush down and it forces everything out, and then next thing you know, the piece of wood cracks. If you have a domed shape though, like this, like you like all my hand gestures here, so a domed shape, as you pound on this top section where I'm wiggling my fingers right now, the material will compress, but then what you notice is on the sides here, it's domed up, okay? As that compresses, there's material there on the side supporting those sides. So as we hit that top and it smushes down a little bit, those sides have some structure behind them, not allowing it to split out as easily. By all means, you can split it out if you're like an animal out here, okay? But we're not. We're like very fancy bushcrafters, so we will be good. Okay, rest of the tent peg itself, the small hook part of the peg itself, I like to take that little sharp edge off. So I'm just gonna go around there, not have that sharp, have that out of the way, looking all nice and pretty. And then you can see I cut this already on a slant, so that already gives me more than enough to drive it into the ground. If you want to get super fancy and point this off, yeah, go ahead, you can point it off, but it doesn't have to be a sharp spike. As long as it has a little bit of angle to it, it will get down in the ground. All right, so you can't leave everybody hanging. We got to get our tent peg in use, so I'm going to put it through the loop of my tarp just like this, and then I'm going to, generally you want to pull these tent pegs up. They're not going to slide the best on here because they're wood, and then you're going to drive this down into the ground to whatever depth you need, and then your tent peg is working perfectly. I'll even rotate that a little bit for everybody so you can see. Really nice stuff. So there you go, you wild bushcrafters. This is a beginner all the way out to the most advanced kind of guy, girl, kid. This is one of those things you're going to be making a lot of over time, and there's lots of different stuff that you can do with these. Not just tent pegs. When you get into like small traps and trap triggers, these things come in really handy for stuff. They come in handy for, well, you know, the Y branch is just, you can do everything with. It's one of my favorite things. So if you enjoyed this, you'll also enjoy our website, coalcrackerbushcraft.com, and then you'll also going to enjoy hitting like and subscribe down below, all that good stuff. And until the next video, make your tent pegs and stay in the woods.